Hey everyone, welcome to episode 93 of Mr. Robin's Hood podcast. I am yours, as always, sleep-deprived co-host, Robin Hohweiler, or Mr. Robin to you, and I'm joined as always by my ever-effervescent co-pilot on this mission of dropping podcast
couldn't
wisdom.
do this without me, and I couldn't do it without him.
Into your skull when you least expect it. Mikel Mauree Robinson, known throughout the podcasting uni as Mikey-on-the-Mic. But before we get too far into this, Mikey, why don't you give them some deets about our topic today, which is actually the April 9th, 1947 tornado that cut a 200-mile path from the Texas Panhandle across northwestern Oklahoma into southern Kansas.
Yes, Mr. Robin, I would be happy to bring some information to those of you that aren't already aware about this.
Yeah.
So it was moving at an average of 42 to 50 miles per hour. It was an extremely large and violent tornado, which, as he said, was first confirmed near Canadian Texas when it struck the tiny town of Glacier. It may have been as much as 2 miles wide. Most structures in town were swept completely away and scattered. Vehicles in the area were thrown hundreds of yards and mangled. Shrubbery was debarked and ground scoring occurred. Glacier was considered completely destroyed, with 17 dead, a major percentage of the populace. Press reports told of 2 people who were known to be together in Glacier before the tornado struck were found 3 miles apart afterward. The tornado maintained its intensity as it slammed into Higgins on the Texas-Oklahoma border, which was also devastated. The accepted death toll here was 51. Again, a major fraction of the residents of the town were killed or injured. Much of downtown Higgins was completely demolished, and entire rows of homes were swept away. At one residence, a 4.5-ton lathe was reportedly ripped from its anchors and broken in half. Yeah, this is just to kind of give a little context of how violent this tornado was. After killing at least one other person, the tornado crossed the state line and entered Oklahoma. There, the tornado was at its worst, the deadliest storm in that state's tornado-troubled history. 6 more people were killed when the tornado swept away about 60 ranches and farms south of Shattuck, Gage, and Fargo. During its trek, the funnel was so wide and low to the ground that it did not resemble a prototypical tornado. The tornado then moved into Woodward, where it devastated the town and killed an estimated 107 people. The damage that occurred in Woodward was catastrophic. There, the tornado was 1.8 miles wide and destroyed 100 city blocks. Many homes and businesses were leveled or swept away. And as the tornado struck the town's power plant, a 20-ton steel boiler tank was lofted and thrown a block and a half. Large trees sustained severe debarking as well. The tornado finally dissipated in Woods County, west of Alva, where it wrecked 36 homes and injured 30 people. So cleanup in the region was made more difficult because of cold and snow that followed the tornado. 4-year-old Joan Gay Croft and her sister Jerry were among refugees taking shelter in a basement hallway of the Woodward Hospital. As officials sent the injured to different hospitals in the area, 2 men took Joan away, saying they were taking her to Oklahoma City. She was never seen again. Over the years, several women have come forth saying they suspect they might be Joan, although none of the claims have been verified. She is likely deceased. The Glacier-Higgins-Woodward tornado was the 6th deadliest in U.S. history, killing 184 and injuring 980 of these figures. 116 deaths and 782 injuries occurred in Oklahoma. An undetermined number of additional fatalities may have occurred in both states affected. In all, the tornado destroyed 626 homes and damaged 920 others, becoming the costliest on record in Oklahoma history. And this was back in 1947. Are these stats are current?
Yeah. And, I co-wrote a book about
right.
Woodward Tornado, and there's a couple of things that made this particularly interesting that weren't in that factoid I handed off to you. One was that it As it came into town, like Mikey said, it was about 1.8 miles at the base, which is just a monster storm.
Yeah.
And I dug up a fact when we were working on that book that said by the time it moved into Woodward, they estimated the winds at the core of that storm, and these were mathematicians doing all this. They estimated those winds were moving at 600 miles an hour. But there's some debate about that because I've since learned that that is physically impossible. But anyway, that's what the math nerds came up with.
Those math nerds must have been phonies like me. That was like me that was me mathing.
But there's
Mikey
no doubt
mathing.
it did just unbelievable damage. And that particular storm lived in people's memories in this region for decades. And we're losing all of the survivors, people that, made it through that storm.
Yeah.
They're all dying off
Right.
if they're not already gone, unfortunately. And we're coming up on the 79th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And so we wanted to be sure to commemorate that. And so our guest today, we have a fellow named John O'Connor, who is the grandson of a fellow named Erwin Walker. And Erwin Walker was the guy who, just through weird coincidence, happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was at the OG&E plant at the very second it got hit. He had swapped shifts with somebody else, and he was in there. He threw the switch, killing power to the across the city, and probably saved hundreds of lives. And the tornado hit. He was the only person that remained at their station as the storm was right on top of that building. And unfortunately, he perished. And John, in his interview, as you'll hear, is going to mention that his big regret there is he never got to know his grandfather. But I'll just give you a little background on John O'Connor. He served as Oklahoma's 19th Attorney General from 2021 to 2023. He has practiced law in Oklahoma for over 40 years, and he opened law offices in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. His practice is statewide. Before his term as Attorney General, John was in private practice at a Tulsa-based firm, regional, with offices in Oklahoma City, Denver, and Northwest Arkansas. Before that, he was a longtime board chair and CEO of Newton, O'Connor, Turner, and Ketchum, a Tulsa-based law firm. Throughout his career, he has primarily focused on civil litigation, including complex commercial and insurance litigation, and has also served as outside general counsel for numerous businesses of all sizes, structuring businesses and negotiating transactions. He also has represented state boards and commissions, as well as private and public schools. For each year since 1993, his peers have recognized John with an AV rating through Martindale-Hubbell, the highest rating of professional excellence and ethics, at which an attorney can be ranked by his peers. He has been recognized as an Oklahoma super attorney.
I like that term. Yeah, he's a super attorney.
One of Oklahoma's...
He did sound pretty super to me.
One of Oklahoma's top-rated lawyers and best lawyer in America.
Whoa! What an accomplishment.
And
because everybody loves those lawyers so much.
No lawyer jokes. Just skipping down, he has been an active leader in the Tulsa community before he became Attorney General. He served on the Board of Trustees for OSU Tulsa. He is past president of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. He formed and served 2 terms as president and director of Tulsa's Ronald McDonald House. He has served as a member of the board of directors of Dillon International Incorporated, an intercountry adoption agency, and as vice president of the board of directors of the Oklahoma State University Alumni Association. John and his wife, Lucia O'Connor, have been honored to chair fundraising efforts in Tulsa for the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, Catholic Charities of Eastern Oklahoma, the Tulsa Ronald McDonald House, OSU Tulsa, the OSU Center for Health Sciences, and other charitable programs and ministries. John and Lucia are in the Tulsa Bishop Kelly Hall of Fame. John is, as you'll learn, is a Tulsa native, and he's been married to his wife, Lucia, of 46 years. Interestingly, Lucia was born, he told us that she was born in Guyman, but grew up, I guess, in Buffalo. So she's a Northwest Oklahoma girl, and was a former Miss Oklahoma. Her career has been in marketing and public relations, and she graduated from Oral Roberts University in Tulsa. They have 4 grown children and 11 grandchildren.
That's wonderful. I'm going to add that, cool people come from Tulsa. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I was only there till I was 4, but I have that Tulsa bug.
There you go.
Well,
so without further ado, we're going to jump right into this interview with John O'Connor. Okay, John. So we're coming up April 9th. This year will be the 79th anniversary of the what is really called the 1947 Woodward Tornado, even though it covered it was in and out of 3 different states, had a 200-mile path. And we understand that you have some connection to that day. And we'd sure love to hear about that.
Yeah, thank you. I do. My mom was living in Woodward and actually had about 3 months earlier moved from Woodward to Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
And and she had a younger sister that was still in high school there at Woodward High School.
Oh,
so mom was 21, just turned 21 really before the tornado. And when I guess she had, we had a family friend who was Father McGurk, who was the pastor at the Catholic Church there in Woodward.
Right. Yeah.
And he had, I guess for some reason he had been in Tulsa and had asked my mom if she wanted to go home, he would take her home to Woodward to see her family. And she said yes. And so they were driving actually from Tulsa to Woodward.
Mm-hmm.
And as they got close to Woodward, they would see ambulances either coming from or going to Woodward.
Right.
Wow.
They didn't realize the magnitude of the storm at that point. But as they got into town, they drove by the Catholic Church and saw that it was a pile of bricks.
Right.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And then they went to her mom's home and saw that it was apparently untouched. And so mom was relieved. And then she went in the house and found that her mom was there and her sister, but that my mom's father, Erwin Walker,
Oh,
he had traded shifts. There was another one of his coworkers that was supposed to be on the shift at the
OG&E plant. Yeah.
electric facility there in town.
Yeah.
And in anticipation of the storm, I guess my grandfather had traded because the other gentleman had young kids at home or something. And so my grandfather traded for that shift. And so he was working that night, but he wasn't at home. And then they found out that my grandfather had gone into the utility plant and shut off the power. And then the tornado hit that building, and he was killed in that building.
Wow. I didn't, before, excuse me.
Yeah.
Before we called you, I didn't realize this involved Erwin Walker. He's kind of a folk hero around here.
Well, yeah, and he is in our family.
Sure, of course.
But we would have, I think we would have traded to know him, because
Right.
of course.
None of us ever got to know him, because he died before my mom got married to my dad. But anyway, yeah. So that then in the church, I guess the Catholic Church, for a while after that, like, I think that the pastor whose home had been destroyed moved into my grandmother's house and helped her survive the loss of her husband by paying some kind of rent to her. And I think they did daily masses in the dining room of my grandmother's house for a while.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, we have here in the museum locally, there are pictures of the remains of that Catholic church, and there's really nothing left except the doorway that was left standing. And it took quite a while before they actually got St. Peter's built, where it is now on Oklahoma Avenue. I think they were holding mass, and there was a Quonset hut kind of back behind there. But boy, this is really interesting. And where was your mother's house located? Do you know?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know where in town it was.
Actually,
but,
we can track that down looking at city
directories.
directories.
They loved Woodward. And actually, interestingly, my wife was born in Guyman and grew up in Buffalo, north of Woodward there. So
yeah.
So my mom and my wife were both from that area, Woodward County and Harper County.
Right. Yeah, so, I'd seen something that said your wife was grew up in Buffalo, and she was Miss Oklahoma. Is that right? Good.
1976. In fact, we both can't believe that this year would be the 50th anniversary of that of her being Miss Oklahoma. But
no kidding.
yeah, isn't that wild?
It is. Yeah, when you said 1976, and I thought about that because 1966 is when the museum opened, and I'm the director there. Robin sits on the board, and we're turning 60, so I'd kind of done some math like that already. So it hit me right away. So
yeah, the time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it really does.
So did your mother have I don't know, maybe a lot of memorabilia? Did she talk about the tornado?
We heard about the tornado, but she didn't really talk about it a lot. That for her, that was super painful.
Of course.
Recollection, and so whatever we learned about the tornado, we kind of had to learn by reading articles on it.
Mhm.
And so, but
Yeah.
and she was born in Woodward. Mom was born in Woodward
Okay.
too. So
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask that.
Yeah.
She grew up here, all the way up till she was 21. Sounds
Mhm.
like.
Yep.
Yeah.
till she moved to Tulsa.
To go to school, is that what she went to Tulsa for?
Um, I think it was work.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very I know, the house I live in is an old farmhouse, and I've been kinda tracing the background, and the lady whose family moved here, she actually moved here first in her early 20s for a job as well. She moved from Wichita, Kansas to Woodward, and I thought that
That's
was interesting. So I feel like that was
Mhm.
kinda common for people to do.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
The and I guess would that have been to work kind of in the oil industry or
You know what's interesting? She actually came here to work as a school teacher in the articles I
Yeah.
found, but I found later where she had worked for a oil and gas, leasing company, and
Mhm.
she did that for a while. My husband and I actually have old, gas maps that he didn't understand why his grandma had them, and now we understand why she had them 'cause, this woman didn't have any kids, and so my husband's grandparents bought her house from this lady's nephew, and so my husband's grandma got kinda close with her, so I think she gave her we found a box of, old photos of, this woman's family and just, she obviously gave these to his grandma, but it's interesting to do the research and learn about things through the different articles. I found
Right.
some things they messed up too. Like
You did?
they had said that her brother um had visited, but her brother died at the age of 31 and he left the nephew that my husband's grandparents bought the property from when she died. And it said that he was actually the one that was visiting, but they mistaken him for his dad, but really he was the nephew, not the brother.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Mm. Yeah. Well, isn't it funny the timing, like the telephone strike,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
telephone worker strike,
Yeah.
um, just how the timing of those things seem to cripple word getting out, and it's so weird that the only way maybe the news traveled from one town in the path of a tornado to another town was by getting an alarming phone call,
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
and then they happen to be on strike, which I'm sure slowed down the traveling of that news
Mhm.
in that 200-mile path of the tornado.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. I mean, the tornado that we had in 2012, I had just moved here, and mind you, it doesn't come close to what happened in 47, but it did kinda hit a side of town, and it had hit one of the, siren towers, and so it didn't
Mm.
go off.
Oh,
And
wow.
just that little bit alone in today's, technology, in 2012, there was all sorts of ways to
Right.
get news. It
Right.
it did slow things down a little bit, so
Mm.
that's one thing I always think about then is, how many people died because they weren't aware of
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
coming.
Well, and there was no
Then news,
Doppler radar or anything then.
right.
So,
Now they predict the path and give you what minute they think it's gonna hit.
yeah.
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 So every Wednesday at noon in Tulsa, they test the sirens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we actually get a subtle reminder every Wednesday of the magnitude of tornadoes and
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
but yeah, and it's it sounded like my grandfather went toward the storm. According to some of the accounts, they saw him driving toward the power plant in the middle of the storm.
Yeah, and as I recall, he managed to throw the switch about the time that OG&E building was hit, and it just absolutely caved in on him. He was the only guy that was, stayed at this station, and he's credited with probably saving a lot of lives, because afterwards, there was just total devastation, particularly on that north end of town, and people were out walking around, and so there were a lot of power lines down, and it was probably really fortunate that they were all, dead essentially, or disconnected. So,
Right.
oh, this is
The
great.
fires could have been as devastating as
Yeah.
the
Yep.
storm.
Oh yeah, and
people-
those poor people. It started snowing right after that
Really?
storm. Yeah, talk about adding insult to
Yeah.
injury.
Yeah.
You got people
Right.
that are homeless and wandering the streets, and
Right.
now it's snowing on them, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, so having married a girl from Buffalo, I would travel out at least a couple times a year to Buffalo, going usually through Woodward.
Yeah.
And that landscape, at first I thought, this is barren, but then I grew to actually love that. It's a rugged beauty.
Yeah.
The rolling hills but
Sure.
they've had their fair share of fires out there too.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Killed, so, but yeah, no, that's when you think about, like right now I have 11 grandkids, and I enjoy every one of them, and the fun that they give. And then you think, here, my grandfather, I never even met.
Yeah.
And he never had the chance to hang out with a grandchild.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sure you do that stuff instinctively. But isn't it weird that he traded with somebody for that shift?
Yeah.
And it ended up being, a life and death decision.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And we have a really good photo of him, and in the museum, and I believe the photo was taken either right before or maybe even the same day when he was leaving for work, and he's holding a lunch pail, and he's looking kind of impatient, really. But we may use that as the thumbnail for this.
yeah, I'm looking at that. He I guess that would have been common, right? I mean, he looks very unassuming.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So probably in front of his house.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so that and then my grandmother ended up moving from Woodward. She stayed out there for a number of years, but then moved and ended up living with my mom after my dad died.
I see.
In Tulsa, and she lived in Ponca City. She worked for the Catholic Church up in Ponca City. So it's also a side story, and I'm sure others have similar experiences. But when you think of loyalty to a person's particular denomination,
yeah,
whether it's Methodist or Presbyterian or Assembly of God or who it is, or Catholic, when you think back to the priest that rented a room from my grandmother for a while to help her make ends meet after her husband died,
right,
to having mass in the dining room, that makes the roots go pretty deep.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm sure there were lots of stories of people who did heroic things that saved the lives of others, you know.
Yeah, but his story seems to always rise to the top. I mean, for as long my mother was, she was a little girl when that tornado hit, and they lived up on the north side of town, actually not too
Mm,
far from that OG&E plant.
mm,
And boy, she carried those scars with her forever.
mhm,
And but she was always quick to anytime someone interviewed her or it came up, she was always quick to talk about your grandfather.
mm,
He was just very well known, and
mm,
it's a shame that he passed while he was trying to save
mhm,
lives.
mhm.
Yeah.
But you look at those, and you look at those structures,
Hmm.
I'm sure they weren't built
Oh no, no.
they are today, to
Yeah,
withstand that type of wind
sure.
and hail and everything. But yeah, no, I'd love to hear the podcast when you guys
Oh, absolutely.
put it up.
We'll make sure that you get a link, and
Yep.
you can certainly hear this.
And
Uh,
I'll send it to my siblings,
okay.
and up and down really the family tree, because it's good to know things about people that we never met,
Yeah.
and
Sure, of course.
part of our family tree, so those will be good. But mom wasn't, uh we didn't sit down and talk with her much about it. I'm sure it would not have been as painful for her in her later years, but I always considered it kind of a touchy story.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, not touching, but touchy
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
to broke with her, and so. But just the priest that drove to Tulsa and offered to take her out to see her family,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
uh, and then they stumble on the biggest tragedy
Yeah.
that you can imagine.
Yeah, that's to me one of the interesting parts of the story is that they were traveling here for a joyous reunion, and then they came to that. That really gives me goosebumps thinking about. I've had an experience that was pretty traumatic. Not the exact same, but I can kind of relate to that kind of um, traumatic experience that kind of sticks with you, and not always
Yeah,
easy to talk about, but
yeah,
just one of those things.
yeah. What's funny is now, even when there's, like, for people who grew up in Oklahoma, if there's a tornado not far away, a lot of times we go out on the porch.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
you watch,
Yeah.
and then if the sky starts to turn a little green,
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
that's when you go to the basement or something. But
Yep.
people who live outside of Oklahoma think, that we live in constant fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's how they feel, like people that live by the ocean with hurricanes. If I'd be up there, I'd probably be kind of losing it, and they're like, "Oh, well, we just start
Right.
boarding up the windows, and it's not that big a deal."
Right.
That's how I think they feel about us
Like,
in a
oh,
hurricane,
Lord. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so
All right.
that's kind of our little piece in the story, is
Well,
just,
and it's an important one, and I'm really happy that we had the opportunity to speak with you and get uh, Erwin Walker's a little more of Erwin Walker's story from a close
mm,
relative.
Yeah.
Sure
yeah,
appreciate this.
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause
And
go ahead.
well, just the notion that so many things had to happen in synchronized timing for that,
Mhm.
for his his heroic act and his
Mhm.
death. Like it had to hit the building while he had just turned the power off.
Yeah.
Instead of leaving the building alone, like it did. I guess some of the east and the south
Mhm.
areas of town were not as hit as hard, huh?
Right. Yeah, that whole area starting over in the northwest, part of Woodward, and along the river, which that building was really close. In fact, that the building, there is a structure there in that same spot. OG&E rebuilt it, and they started another power plant there. But that whole area along there, north of Oklahoma Avenue, was absolutely wiped out. And I don't have the number in front of me, but I think it was 180 blocks of this city that were just absolutely obliterated in a matter of minutes. And it's not too hard to understand that when you as the story and the reports go, that tornado was 1.8 miles wide at the base as it came into town. So
That's
So yeah, it cut a big path through here. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So if there's anything else I can do,
Okay.
let me know. But it's just odd when you think about how things line up for
Sure.
those to happen, and obviously mom missed her dad. She had a sister and a brother,
Of course. Yeah.
and none of us as grandkids got to know him. So he was just a name that we would hear about,
Yeah.
So,
well, John, we certainly appreciate your taking the time to come
Thank
on
you
and
so much.
talk about this, and we'll. I suspect we're going to be in touch. Next year is the 80th anniversary.
Yeah, that's what I was about to.
And I was wondering,
to say.
it'd be kind of interesting maybe to see if you'd be interested in coming up to Woodward and maybe making a presentation or something.
Yeah, we would do something like that, especially since Lucia's family's from Buffalo. Most of them have moved now.
Right.
These were Lucia's folks were Dust Bowl survivors.
Oh wow!
Right.
I mean that, and so the Dust Bowl. I mean that area is, when it gets rugged, it gets it in an intense degree, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are hard. Those are tough. Those are tough people.
Yeah. That's no
great
doubt.
Yeah. So we're good. Yes, keep in touch with us, and
certainly
we would come out. Trista, right? Mikel, you talked about.
Yes. Krista's the one that kind of turned me on to you and your story and gave me your contact. So
yeah, that's a great couple, and
they really are. Yeah,
the Ben Brooks out there are good friends.
Yeah, but I've been working with Bruce and Cheryl. They loaned some Salon Porter paintings to us for this month for an exhibit. So
great.
They're always, great to help, and their bank sponsors a lot of things at the museum. So
yeah, that's great. Well, good. Well, okay. Call me if I can be of further assistance.
Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks, John.
Bye.
Bye.
So, Mikey, this was probably one of the more interesting podcasts that we've done in a long, long time. And we're very grateful to Mrs. Krista Yaden.
Yes.
For putting John onto us. Krista is a great supporter of this community, and we sure appreciate her input. And I can't emphasize enough how surprised I was when we got into this.
Well, let me give a little backstory. So
go ahead.
So whenever Krista had kind of told me about Mr. O'Connor, it was like right around this time last year, I think, or like February or something, or maybe it was right after the anniversary of the 47 tornado. Maybe it was after, because that would, or I can't remember exactly. It was sometime around this where it didn't work out for us to do it last year. Like, I think we already had something scheduled, or it already passed, something like that. And I was like, I'd really love for this, for us to be able to drop this podcast in April around the, anniversary. I think that'd be really cool. So I had kind of touched base with him briefly, told Robin, about him. Well, then, this whole year, lots of things have happened. We've always kind of had him on deck, is what we call, the people we have in kind of our pool to pick from. And we knew we were going to do that. So I reached out to him this year, but both of us knew like that his story was connected to the 47 tornado, but I think we both kind of forgot, the depth of it.
Yeah.
And so
he is the grandson of Erwin Walker. That was just amazing to me.
Yeah, having that really deep connection. And so that's why we were both kind of like, oh, that's right. He was the grandson of a gentleman that, quite literally lost his life to save many lives.
Yeah.
And so it's been such a great story to hear from, somebody in the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated that he didn't get to know his grandpa, because his grandpa sounds like a really amazing dude. And, I hate he didn't get to meet him, but he did something really great, and he went out of this life and saved a lot of lives in the midst of it. So, great story.
It really was.
It really
and we appreciate John O'Connor's time.
Yeah, coming on and sharing it with us, because that's huge.
Yeah. If you have any questions for either Mikey or myself about today's episode or any other darn thing, you can email us at mr.robin@mrrobinshood.com or Mikey@mrrobinshood.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast. As always, you can also reach out to Mikey or me via Podophone at 580-827-1113. Maybe you just want to get something off your chest, or you're feeling some pain because of something we said during the podcast. Give us a call. But know that we're not likely to answer, because we're quickly becoming international
and chasing down wonderful guests like the one we had today.
There you go. And are developing a worldwide following, but we just don't have any staff.
No.
You can leave a voicemail or text us if you have a question, concern, complaint, compliment, suggestion, whatever. In the meantime, tell all your friends to listen to this podcast as though their lives depend upon it. As always, you can stream or download episodes of Mr. Robin's Hood Podcasts wherever you usually find that.
I need a pointy stick.
Yeah.
I know what I need now.
We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, and Podchaser. You can also stream them directly from our Podbean website at mrrobinshoodpodcast.podbean.com for free. All of those episodes are on there. So, quit your job, take a couple of weeks off, and just watch them.
Yeah. Watch them all.
So we'll close now by reminding everyone, including all of you weather nerds out there, as we always
Or maybe storm chasers.
Or storm chasers.
Yeah.
There you go. David Payne, I hope you're listening.
Yes. Subscribe to our channel, and we'll subscribe to yours.
There you go. To stay hungry, stay
foolish, and most importantly, stay weird.
Bye.
Bye.